Hi, I'm David Manti, and welcome to a new episode of the Today in Manufacturing podcast. With me this week are Jeff Ranke and Andy Zoll. We're the editors of Manufacturing.net, Industrial Equipment News, and Industrial Distribution, and we each have more than 20 years of experience covering this industry. Every week, we cover the three biggest stories in manufacturing and discuss the implications they have on the industry moving forward. Before we get started, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You could also help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, even a thumbs up on YouTube will help us out a lot. If you want to email the podcast, you can reach any of us at Jeff, Anna, Andy, or David at IEN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. We're also live every Thursday, except next week. So subscribe to us on YouTube at IEN Magazine so you can get a notification when we go live. Jeff, how are you doing this week?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
I'm doing well. And I'm like, I want to load it up front that we're not going to have an episode next week because I feel like that's something I traditionally forget. And then like right as I'm doing the close, it's like, hey, yeah, sorry. And also not next week. So getting ahead of it.
Attaboy.
Andy, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah?
Glad to be here, contrary to what I may or may not have been muttering before we went on the air.
Oh, nothing but sunshine and roses over here.
Not flustered at all by various deadlines and things. We are good.
Well, it's great because, we take a week off, but it's like we still got to do some work, and everything goes so smoothly.
Yep.
It's always no problem.
It always works out in the end.
All right. Well, before we jump into our first story this week, we have a word from our sponsor, Oracle NetSuite. This episode is brought to you by Oracle NetSuite. Most organizations have more dashboards, reports, and data than ever before, yet decisions still get made on gut feel or anecdote. The gap is not data, it's action. So in this practical field guide, Bernie Smith, director of Made to Measure KPIs and the KPI Academy, shares his approach to connecting KPIs to real decisions and measurable improvement. Learn how to make dashboards useful instead of, quote, wallpaper. Choose measures people actually trust and act on. Define clear responses when a KPI moves. Design targets that encourage the right behaviors and connect strategy, measurement, and action. So download Beyond the Dashboard. Right now, there is a link to download it in the live chat, and there is a link to download it in the body copy. Our first story this week. U.S. Steel commits $475 million to install new quench and tempering line. U.S. Steel just announced plans to invest some $475 million for the installation of a new quench and tempering, or QT, line at its Fairfield Tubular Operations in Alabama. Quench and tempered steel is heat-treated steel alloy that's processed for maximum strength and toughness. It's a two-step thermal process. It is first heated and rapidly cooled, or quenched, to lock in hardness, then reheated and slowly cooled, or tempered, to remove brittleness. This move is going to add internal capacity to meet growing demand for heat-treated products, especially from the oil and gas industry. U.S. demand is reportedly surging in opportunity basins like the Permian, Eagle Ford, Haynesville, and Appalachia. The Q&T line is scheduled to reach full production by Q2 2029. Now, U.S. Steel CEO David Burritt said the investment will strengthen the company's supply chain, improve product quality, and continue to foster a safe, advanced workplace for employees. One interesting addition is a training center that's going to use virtual reality technology to deliver operational training. Andy, U.S. Steel seems very optimistic, but do you see this as a step in the right direction as we, quote, forge the next century of American steel?
I don't know about all that, but certainly it's a step in the right direction. It reads to me like maybe another outgrowth of the ever-increasing demand for power that we see pretty much across all sectors because of data centers and AI and all that sort of stuff that we've talked about ad nauseum here. So certainly they think so, but there's a lot of factors in play for the next century of American steel to actually play out the way they think it does. But this was announced basically 1 year after U.S. Steel was acquired by Nippon Steel, which said at the time that it would invest $11 billion in the business after paying nearly $15 billion for it. So this is reportedly part of that whole modernization effort. And although I don't think they mentioned any new jobs that would be resulting as a part of this.
Right.
Just broadly, they've talked about, I think, 100,000 jobs. I'd have to go back and look at that, but it's thousands and thousands of jobs. So I wonder, that deal drew a lot of headlines and a lot of skepticism. And it felt like the entire time that it was based on U.S. Steel's name and reputation that hadn't really existed in that kind of form that they were thinking about for 50 years.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if these kind of concrete steps that they're taking now kind of changes anybody's minds, or if everybody's just moved on altogether.
No, I mean, it certainly changes my mind because, I mean, it's not just this quench and temper line, but it's a new finishing line. They added a lot of storage and warehouse space. There's the new premium thread line that they announced in November of last year, and that's already under construction. So it seems to be a little bit of putting money where their mouth is, real skin in the game. So one of the comments that we got on this, Jeff, was from NV Fire. NV Fire said, first of all, interesting name. It's okay. It's always great to have a handle. NV Fire says, it is too bad that U.S. Steel didn't consider building the Q&T and finishing lines at their closed-down plant in Lone Star, Texas, where they possessed rail and rail storage on a very large campus, as well as closeness to pipe coating companies already serving the industry, pre-established logistics from a former tubular products facility, and NV says permitting would have been a breeze. Were you surprised to see how much this project has expanded in Alabama?
No.
I
mean, this is common sense. It's cheaper. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
You look at Texas, you look at Pennsylvania. This wasn't done up in U.S. Steel country, so to speak. This was done where it was less expensive to do so. I think that was very deliberate. And when you look at all this, you want to be optimistic and positive about these growth plans, but there's also a part of me that goes back to that whole golden share dynamic and all the pressure that the Trump administration exerted on Nippon Steel when making this acquisition, right down to having to keep the name U.S. Steel.
Yeah.
So when you look at those initial expansions, and Andy had mentioned them, something like $11 billion, that was initially going to be more like $3 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really hope when you look at these types of plans, it is in response to market dynamics. Now, when you look right now, forecasts are pretty optimistic. We're looking at growth when it comes to steel demand in the U.S. as well as tubular steel specifically.
Yeah.
So there is a healthy economic dynamic driving this.
Yeah.
You hope that's the only thing driving this.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're going to be back to square one with whether it's U.S. Steel or the Nippon subsidiary of U.S. Steel, however you want to phrase it, this business is going to be right back in a bad spot if they start to overinvest based on these pressures and not things that the market is telling them to do.
Yeah.
And at that point, the Trump administration is going to be gone.
Yeah.
So it's going to be real easy to shift the blame onto someone else.
No,
this will be a time will tell type situation.
And they definitely leaned in on the immediate demand from oil and gas, right? But there is still demand from other industries, they say, that is also going to relate to this expansion. Let's hope it remains that way. But I mean, you're right. But man, it's hard to think that they're spending $500 million.
Hey, they opened a plant that they were going to shutter or kept it open just because they had to.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that dynamic as well here. Let's make sure the money is going in the right places or everybody's screwed.
Well, and when did they say it's coming online? Q2 of 2029? Yeah, you're right. Changes might have happened by then. Likely.
Yeah.
Likely. All right. Well, we'll continue to follow this story. But to that point, Jeff, they've already done more than I have expected.
Well, I don't think that's fair because Nippon Steel said initially when they were making this acquisition, they pointed to everything that they were going to do.
Yeah.
They were going to expand the workforce. They were going to make these additions, these expansions, but now they're mandated. And they have to be headline-grabbing things that appeases, you would think, this not-so-silent partner that they have with this big stake in the company. So the fact that it's happening isn't the surprise. Maybe the level, maybe the expense, the level of investment that's going in there is. And again, you just hope it's for the right reasons.
I didn't want to imply that this was like a depressed asset or anything. There were plenty of interest in this company. It was just not the same as it was decades ago. So it's not altogether surprising that they're investing in this business after they acquired it. So, but again, there's other factors in play.
Right. Our next most popular story this week: world's first fusion power plant given regulatory clearance. Helion is a Washington-based fusion energy company. Last week, the company claimed to become the first company in the world to secure the regulatory licenses needed for a fusion power plant. Helion just received 2 licenses from the Washington Department of Health. The licenses are radioactive materials license and a radioactive air emissions license. The move means Helion has the facilities, trained personnel, and safety programs in place at its Orion facility in Washington to meet the safety standards required for fusion operations. The licenses are the latest in a group of key permits and licenses required for the company to build and operate this first fusion power plant in the state of Washington. Helion continues to build Orion with the assembly and office building construction already complete. Now the company can proceed with work on the generator building. They already started moving dirt at the site this spring. Andy, this came out kind of during the flurry of world firsts that we saw last week. It was a little odd, but there still seems to be some doubt that this will ever come online.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird way to present it as the world's first to get state regulatory clearance. Like,
yeah,
all right, I guess
the world's first to get the paperwork.
Yeah, right. So just for me as a reporter and not a nuclear physicist or anything.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to point out that fusion power is basically the holy grail of energy.
Yeah.
And if it were this close to becoming a reality, it would be this huge, huge, huge deal. Mm-hmm. And the reason it was, popular on the website, the reason it's not a bigger deal is because there's some serious questions in the scientific community about just how far along this company is. Mm-hmm. There's been other skepticism since then, but I found this 2023 article from MIT Technology Review headlined, "This startup says its first fusion plant is 5 years away. Experts doubt it." In that piece, the author wrote that Helion won't comment on whether it's getting more energy out of the process than it takes to generate it, and that converting that energy into a consistent, affordable form that could flow onto the grid is a different challenge altogether that they haven't really addressed. Mm-hmm. So you guys might recall that to date, the only, I don't know if organization is the right word, but the Livermore lab achieved technically what's this report called scientific net energy gain, which means they solved that on a very, very small scale. They generated more than they put in.
Yeah.
So that it's just, scientists for decades and decades and decades have said this is the answer to most of our problems.
Yeah, it's a holy grail.
And they're not anywhere, they're closer, but not any, compared to the destination, they're, a mile and they still have 1,000 miles to go, it feels like. So right. I am skeptical, but truly, truly would be happy to be proven wrong.
No, this is agreed. I feel like this is a technology that everyone would like to see realized. This is also the company that's backed by Sam Altman. Mm-hmm. It recently raised hundreds of million, like $465 million in a new funding round that values the company at $15.5 billion. And I'm not sure if you know who Sam was recently feuding with, Mr. Elon Musk about a little play in the AI industry. But I looked at this and I thought that Helion could be Sam Altman's SpaceX, where, if you remember, Jeff, when Elon Musk was building Tesla, that was the big thing, right? And then he started SpaceX and everyone's just like, oh, that's, commercial space. That could be a thing. And he's like, no, this is going to be the big thing. And I don't know. I think that this could be similar to that in Sam Altman's portfolio. If, something that seems really far off and all of a sudden, if they build it right, could be realized.
I think it'd be pretty bold for Sam Altman to try to claim that much ownership of this. He's one of many vested interests. There's other Silicon Valley billionaires involved in this company. There is a founding group as well. So I think it's a little bit different. I can appreciate your point, though, in terms of divesting. I think it's also interesting that one of the things that's really sort of backboning this project is the dynamic, the relationship with Microsoft.
Yes.
Essentially, and you look at those two, Sam Altman, OpenAI, and Microsoft, also not best of friends.
Yeah.
Definitely competitors there. And I guess that relationship actually leads me to be a little more optimistic about this. A lot of the issues around fusion, you hit on them, Andy. It's super expensive. There's still radioactive material. It's not like there aren't other safety concerns as well. There's material degradation concerns, which drive up those expenses. However, what's interesting to me is, and also one of the biggest ones you brought up, it actually is energy deficient right now. It needs more energy to create what it puts out.
Yeah.
So, but when it's done at this type of scale, this is only going to be like 50 megawatt plant. And basically, it's putting it into the grid, and then the grid is delivering it to Microsoft's AI data centers or power data centers, whatever. So when you have that type of scale and the demand and the expectation is low, it does give you a chance to fail.
Yeah.
Okay. It gives you a chance to learn from those failures. You do have a lot of folks, Altman and some other people too, with a lot of money backing this. So I think the scale, the fact that it is in a real world application, but it's also measured, could allow for us to figure out all the reasons why it doesn't work and try to fix them.
Yeah.
So I do think for a lot of those reasons, it's very interesting. I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. I understand all the interest in it. And again, because of those dynamics and because you've got a user in Microsoft or the sole customer at this point, probably going to be pretty patient with this because this is a zero emission, no carbon type of energy source.
Yeah.
They're also going to be in it for the long haul. Again, hopefully we can work out some of those problems, figure it out, and maybe scale it up. So no guarantees there, certainly, but trying to be a little more glass half full.
That's, very uncharacteristic, and that's good to hear that, Jeff. But, I do think
shock the world.
Helion would shock the world if they could make this happen. Fusion, not commercial, generates energy by jamming light atoms together under extremely high temperatures. It's got to be difficult, right? And when
Tony Stark put this thing right in his chest. How hard can it be?
Comic
book science, it's all real world.
It certainly has a way of becoming it. And I do think the Microsoft angle does provide a really interesting pilot plant, so to speak. But Microsoft might have a little bit of leeway, but they also did sign that deal in 2023 to start supplying at least 50 megawatts of power in 2028. And they might really be counting on that. It can't just be like, all right, we'll make sure you get it right and take your time. It's like, hey, I like what you're doing there, but we need it by 2028.
Well, all these data centers, though, they need a PR shot in the arm, too.
Yeah.
And this would help.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This would be a big boost there. Microsoft, I think they're doing okay.
Yeah.
As a company, they may have a couple bucks that they could spare on something like this. Yeah. So, yeah.
But you're right. Everyone's talking data centers right now, but everyone talks data centers, and then they talk about how energy craven they are. Unlike nuclear fission plants, the one point I just wanted to add was that it does produce that radioactive waste, but not the long-lasting radioactive waste. And so as a result of that, it doesn't need as complex regulations, which it's like world's first, but also didn't need as many.
Right.
And what was your takeaway about when they said they worked closely with the community? Because on one point, they said they worked closely with the community. They held more than 10 meetings to discuss the projects. And I've been to some of those community meetings about much like gas stations, right? And you have a number of these projects, another number of these meetings. Everyone seems cool with it. And then it comes to actually building it. And the community's like, whoa, what's going on here?
People are fighting over solar farms now. You can get people riled up about anything, but maybe it's just not. Maybe they got a good PR operation going up there.
Yeah.
If I'm living in this area and you got two just energy black holes like Microsoft and Boeing up there, and you've got something that's going to maybe relieve some of that strain on the grid, I'm going to be very open to it as well.
True, but even there's always going to be an issue with the term radioactive waste. Even if it's less, no matter what, talk about needing needing a shot in the arm PR wise. It's never really been good for radioactive waste.
No, it hasn't.
All right. Well, our most popular story this week was about Ford Motor and how it's suing to shut down lemon law fraud. So last week, Ford Motor filed a lawsuit against a law firm, Quill and Arrow. The lawsuit alleges rampant lawsuit abuse. Yes, it's a lawsuit over lawsuits, but this one comes after Quill and Arrow filed thousands of lemon law cases every year against Ford and other automakers. The lawsuit says the firm is, quote, a fraudulent and illegal billing factory conceived and constructed to exploit the lemon law's fee-shifting provisions. The lawsuit alleges a number of violations under California law, like artificially inflated attorney fees. The firm supposedly uses unregistered foreign attorneys to practice law in California and then bill at California attorney rates for work performed entirely by non-lawyers. These non-lawyers are making as little as $13 an hour. Quill is allegedly billing rates up to $950 an hour. In 5 years, the firm has allegedly filed more than 20,000 cases under California's lemon law. Ford says these lawsuits have cost the automaker some $100 million. Half of that, $50 million, they paid in attorney's fees. Andy, this story kind of reminds me of playing darts with the kids, right? They're going to hit the bullseye. You know, they're going to take a couple of shots, a lot of shots, and hit that bullseye every once in a while. And we're certainly going to anger everybody in the house or everybody in the bar.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Yeah.
So this is basically how I assume this has played out in California, which has one of the strictest lemon laws. Now, every state has a lemon law in some form, which basically says if your new car is defective, you can be compensated for that at some point.
Yeah.
So, but California's, among other provisions in the law, it allows attorneys on those cases to collect fees from the automaker in question, which at the very least creates something of a conflict of interest when it comes to settling things quickly. The Los Angeles Times report on this lawsuit it cited a legislative committee report that found that lemon law cases in California went from 4,500 in 2015 to 30,000 in 2024.
Oh, man.
Which is when they tweaked the law, the California legislature did, and then it set a new record in 2025. So, not to say those tweaks didn't work, but you might need some more if the amount of cases keep going up.
Needs more tweaking.
Yeah, and in this case specifically, it's hard to say this is Ford's word versus this law firm's word, and the court will hash it out. But broadly speaking, if the caseload is going up nearly sixfold in a decade, there's probably other issues, serious issues in play here. And I can't imagine what this is doing to the civil court process in that state.
Just bogging it down.
Yeah.
So that was 4,500 in 2015, and then more than 30,000 by 2024.
Yep.
And it set another record last year.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Just every stereotype about the practicing law.
Yeah, it's not a great look.
Not a great look. So a little bit more about this scheme. It was twofold. There was a front end and a back end. On the front end of this, Ford says that Quill would recruit vehicle owners through deceptive advertising. Everyone knows the ads we're talking about. They're probably everywhere. Someone right now is listening to this, pumping gas, and someone on the gas pump is telling them to do this type of lawsuit. They would coach them how to conceal the firm's involvement. Quill would write script their communications with Ford. This would avoid triggering the automaker's repurchase obligations. They would tell owners how to ignore these offers to repurchase their car. And these tactics were designed to prolong litigation and exposure to civil penalties from which Quill, not its clients, primarily benefit. So in many instances, Quill has filed lawsuits without clients even knowing or consenting to it. And then there was the back end of it, which we were talking about a little bit in the summary, where Quill fabricates billing records, allegedly, that it submits to Ford and to courts. Quill's billing department takes time entered by overseas virtual assistants. Jeff, you might enjoy this. They're sometimes called bots. And that's a passion project of your own. And domestic non-attorney staff and they're all doing a variety of tasks. And then it reallocates that time for those tasks to licensed California attorneys who never really performed the work, allegedly. This is one of those stories where I felt like there's no way I could say allegedly enough. Just
you gotta cover your bases.
You gotta really cover them. So instead of actual timesheets, Quill creates billing records that are, quote, utter fabrications, according to Ford. And Jeff, Ford tried to, I guess, I don't know if it was necessarily in good faith, but Ford did reach out, they said on June 1st, to say like, hey, repay us for all of this waste. Obviously, the law firm didn't just say, okay, and cut a check. So when they said no, Ford filed this lawsuit to kind of try and recover some of these fraudulently acquired funds, allegedly, and stop the future conduct. When you look at this story, I mean, really, I think it's a good representation of consumer protections that were created with like greater good intentions and just absolutely abused.
Well, it's interesting. I think one of the bigger issues here is not new vehicles. It's vehicles that are still covered under the manufacturer's warranty. Mm-hmm. So if it's got a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty on it and you buy that new vehicle at 40,000 miles, that's where I think a lot of this contention comes in. I think that's where that inflated number of claims comes in, because people are buying these vehicles because that was a trend at one point. Now, people aren't buying as many new vehicles now as they were at that point. Yeah. But I think that's part of the issue. There's so many things with this particular story that are so frustrating. Number one, what you just alluded to in terms of this was meant to be a positive thing to protect consumers, and now somebody's taking advantage of it. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt there's a lot of Saul Goodman written all over this situation here, starting with the name Quill and Arrow.
Quill and Arrow.
FYI, no one at the law firm's named Quill or Arrow.
Yeah.
That we know of.
It was, I mean,
according to their website, there is nobody.
We did research.
They've also got some weird office location issues there that makes the place seem a little questionable.
A little dodgy.
But I don't know. Anyway, the bigger part of this, too, is when you look at the automotive industry, these types of lawsuits really muddy the water, too, because I was really shocked. According to J.D. Power and Associates, like 1% of all new vehicles are lemons. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Yeah. How can that be? How can one of every 100 vehicles coming off the line be bad right from the go?
I don't know.
That's a quality and safety concern that goes beyond any of this stuff happening in California. That's just mind-blowing. I mean, it masks the real problem here.
Yeah, I mean, think about the story that we just did about how Ford, instead of checking out an engine every 3 months, I mean, they're tearing down an engine every day, and this might be to kind of, improve that number a touch.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean, something's got to go on here. I mean, just the replacement cost, just the back and forth cost, taking it to the dealership and back and wasting all those technicians' time trying to shoot this down, because one of the things I will give the law a little bit of credit for, it does, in theory, there's always loopholes and legal ways to work around things, but it lays in there like it's got to be under warranty, 4 different visits, in the shop for more than 30 days. There's a lot of things that are pretty clear, but still that much time and energy for an automaker to spend on a vehicle is ridiculous. You'd think there'd be a greater incentive beyond just $50 million in legal fees to address this problem. It's kind of crazy. I guess I never would have thought the lemon issue for a new vehicle was that high.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and kind of to Ford's point, this sort of scheme, it works around how Ford sort of has operations set in place to like fulfill these warranty obligations, right? And then not only does it like kind of sully their name, but like it hurts relationships with its customers, past, present, and future, And I don't know, like I think I looking into some of the YouTube videos that Quill and Arrow use to kind of attract customers, I understand how people can buy a car, be frustrated with something that's not working right, see this ad and think, oh, I'm going to make some money off of this. They make it very straightforward. Just like, no, and I mean, it's every stereotype.
Well, and by the way, they're not alone. I mean, when they talk about a cottage industry, I think that's being very gracious.
Yeah.
There are I mean, dozens, probably hundreds of these types of firms just in this area.
Yeah.
When you do like just a Google search on lemon law, it's
No, there were in we had some I had comments in this story from a specific group. It was the ATRA, and it was, a group of lawyers that are trying to fix the law, so to speak, because of all of these abuses. And sometimes I think that's part of the frustration, is that there is a clear issue here that needs to be remedied, and it's just a slow process to get any real change. And really, no one's winning as a result. I mean, if Ford's dropping $100 million on shifty lawsuits,
just in California.
Just in California, I know. There's no way you can say that that's not rolling down to the consumer a little bit. All right. Before we jump into, in case you missed it, just a reminder that this episode is brought to you by Oracle NetSuite. Most organizations have more dashboards, reports, and data than ever before, yet decisions still get made on gut feel or an anecdote. Like, hey, this happened to my friend once, so that's why we're going to do it this way. Well, the gap is not data, it's action. In this practical field guide, Bernie Smith, director of Made to Measure KPIs in the KPI Academy, shares his approach to connecting KPIs to real decisions and measurable improvement. So check it out so you can learn how to make dashboards that are useful instead of, quote, wallpaper, choose measures people actually trust and act on, define clear responses when a KPI moves, design targets that encourage the right behaviors, and connect strategy, measurement, and action. So, download Beyond the Dashboard. Right now, there's a link to download in the live chat and in the body copy. In case you missed it, story's not as popular on the site, but could still make a big impact on the industry going forward. Andy, what do you have for us this week?
I have what I believe is a rather unique facility fire story, which we've covered a fair amount of those here. This one actually happened last week in Los Angeles at a cold storage facility that has something like 85 million pounds of frozen food. So the initial story was just about the plumes of smoke in the city and the shelter-in-place order over the hazardous air that resulted, which is bad enough. But I learned that because this is a cold storage facility, putting it out could take weeks.
Putting out the fire?
Putting out the fire. Oh. Firefighters were still trying to gain access to the building 6 days later. Fire officials told reporters that because these places have heavily insulated ceilings and structures and everything else, that it's extremely difficult to extinguish fires there. And the chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department said, and this is a direct quote, "I don't know that we'll ever get firefighters inside."
Whoa.
Because the entire roof has been compromised and it's sitting on top of 65-foot tall rows filled with frozen food. So just like contain it, watch it burn? But yeah, basically. They extended the air quality warning because there were concerns that the pollution could spread to other parts of the city. So just something to be aware of if you live near a frozen food warehouse.
Or if you manage or own one in terms of risk mitigation.
Yes, and I try not to be a not in my backyard type person because we need frozen food. Got to have it.
Frozen food, yeah. I guess I never really thought about that in terms of the extensive insulation that you need and how, once that's on fire, it's going to burn for a while.
They're still looking into the cause of the fire at last report. There was some indication that they were working on solar panels on the roof, something to that effect, but I don't think there's a definitive cause yet. They're just kind of still watching it. I'm not sure if they've been able to access any part of the building yet.
And how many millions of pounds of food were in there? 85.
There were 65-foot tall rows and then something like 600-foot long. I mean, it's just a huge, huge place that it went up and they can't get to it.
Well, and I understand that, like, in the grand scheme of the food supply chain, that's not a lot, but that's still a lot of food,
it's a lot
Jeff.
Of food.
It is, and I think what's interesting, too, is we look at cold storage. It's an area that's growing. There's more interest, more need for it, just because of a lot of the food supply chain issues that we have right now.
And biomedical.
Yeah, all across the board. So when you see these types of issues, it just reinforces all the things we talk about in terms of the little stuff, the blocking and tackling, making sure all of those precautions are being taken, because you may not have thought if it does come down to a solar panel installation, I guarantee those folks weren't thinking about the what they were working on top of, essentially.
Yeah.
And reinforcing all this stuff. A lot of times, over communication is so important in these situations. This is definitely one of them.
Well, and it can come down to one bad connection. How many different times have we covered those stories where it's come down to an O-ring or a fastener? Yep. But I mean, I'll be interested to see if they can get to the absolute root cause, just because if this thing has been burning for weeks.
Yeah, if they can't even get into it, how are they going to find out what caused it? I mean, you can speculate, but
yeah, I guess you could see at least where the fire maybe originated.
Yeah.
But it sounds like everything is going to be reduced to ash.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, people stay safe and the pollution threat isn't as intense, but it sounds like that's going to be pretty significant as well.
Yeah, it has the specific issue here. It's not ammonia or anything like that. It's give me a minute. It's called PM2.5, which microscopic particles.
Yeah, from what I've heard, that's bad.
It's not good. It says can penetrate deep into the lungs, it says here, which you don't want.
No, not at all. Jeff, what's your in case you missed it this week?
So I picked a story talking about quantum sensors and how they can help spot hidden damage in the thousands of structurally deficient U.S. bridges.
Yeah.
This is something we talk about in U.S. infrastructure all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, this article points out that there are over 350,000 bridges in the U.S. that are considered in fair or poor condition right now. Article does a great job of laying out all the things that we're trying to do right now with inspections, with drones, instrumentation, all of these different things, but none of them really cover all the bases. They all sort of offer one piece of information, but not a complete story in terms of what may be going on with a lot of this failing infrastructure and the best ways, as well as the best time to really get in there and try to repair it and maintain it. They talk about how it's great to have this information, but if it comes too late, too soon, you don't act on it at the right time, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
But in the author's opinion, one of the solutions are quantum sensors. I'd never actually heard that term before. Mm-hmm. But these devices, they help with showing signs of structural quantum sensors can help when the signs of structural distress are weak, buried, or noisy. These devices use atoms and electron spins as highly sensitive probes. So by measuring these atomic properties and how they shift in response to extremely subtle changes in gravity, motion, magnetic fields, the sensors can detect flaws that traditional instruments miss.
Right.
So by embedding these sensors within bridges, roads, etc., it offers just a much deeper dive into what's going on in there. How are things being affected? Not just the concrete, but the steel rods.
Yeah.
Are there things going on from a corrosion perspective? Are there things going on before you see the cracks in the bridge and the foundation that you can address to make sure not only that it doesn't fail, but that you can do the things from a maintenance perspective before you have to replace the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's a cost savings element as well as a safety situation. And it's something that is small, available, not that expensive to embed in terms of the implementation or during construction.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something, it feels like a solution to a lot of the infrastructure investment issues that we have. We know this is a problem. We're sitting at a C+, I think, when we look at U.S. infrastructure grades right now.
Yeah.
Here's an option. Drop a couple of these little sensors in there. Mm-hmm. And it can help provide all the data we need to ensure stuff like, the first thing I always think about is that Minneapolis bridge collapse from, that's like 10 years ago now.
Yeah. Or, the Key Bridge in Baltimore, when you think that the replacement cost for that is now $5 billion, I feel like that buys a lot of quantum sensors.
Well, I don't know if it can stop a ship from hitting it, but,
But, it would know that it couldn't stand up to a ship hitting it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Enough.
It would be like, did you know the sensors are saying that if it was hit really hard right here, it'd be bad?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More data is better. We'd be more prepared here for sure. So thought this was a cool solution. And really, when you look at infrastructure, they're looking at bridges here. This could go everywhere. This could go roads, airway runways, you name it.
No, that was one of my key takeaways from this article, and I was really glad that you grabbed this one. Just because some of these pieces that come out of academia definitely fly under the radar a little bit because people don't want to get so deep into the weeds. But the author mentions how sensors give engineers more ways to see inside concrete, steel, soil, and water, and it turning some surprise closures into repairs planned months earlier. So they could have gotten on top of the bridge, started reinforcing it before the big boat hit it.
There you go.
Andy, when you look at this story, I mean, I guess when things like quantum computing and we started seeing some of these new technologies really start coming out, I feel like this is the realization of some of those efforts.
Yeah, and it's the important part to me is one, getting better information, and two, maybe putting that information to use more cost effectively, because it's not that we can't identify the problem here.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is paying for it.
Yeah.
So for any number of reasons, the machinery of policymaking, that sort of stuff. So hopefully this is a relatively easy and cheap way to try and move the grades up a little bit.
Well, and I mean, that's a really good point. Like, we'll just get the alert sooner, so that way the slow mechanism that it takes to get it funded can approve the spend. I also thought that, this would also be a really good application for, these sensors to essentially be monitored by AI that would identify these red flags, right?
I mean, potentially. I mean, it really should shift the paradigm when it comes to infrastructure maintenance.
Yeah.
In other words, we're not going to wait, or we're not going to put a prescribed timeline on stuff. When the sensor tells us it's the right time to make these changes or implement maintenance procedures, we do it.
Yeah. Seems too straightforward, Jeff.
It'll never work.
It'll never work. In case you missed it this week, I chose a story about Boston Dynamics, and they just announced a $100 million U.S. expansion effort. And this happened yesterday. Boston Dynamics says it's going to transform more than 300,000 square feet in Waltham, Massachusetts. It's going to turn it into an advanced robotics and AI center. The company is going to invest this $100 million in the project and anticipates creating 1,250 new jobs by 2033. The company received a $25 million incentive to fund the project and, multiple projects that are all tied to manufacturing, workforce training, and operations tied directly to the company's Atlas, Spot, and Stretch platforms. Now, I wanted to choose this story just because I thought, I'm a fan of Boston Dynamics, right? And I always like to see what's going on. And given that I spent the entire week at Automate, was able to check out the Boston Dynamics booth and see that Atlas was locked to the floor and not moving the entire show. And then basically Spot stole the spotlight, unintentional. It's clear where the opportunity is here. And just getting to talk to a lot of people about the potential and the reality of humanoid robots and the potential and reality of smaller robots like Spot, I thought that this $100 million might go a lot more towards the manufacturing of Spot and maybe the R&D of Atlas.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did they tell you what the applications of humanoid robots are? Because so far, I mean, you can see them for Spot.
Yeah.
But right now, but at least I can't. I'm a little skeptical about the other one.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of humanoid shade going on at the show. And I mean, like, and real, rightfully so, very realistic in terms of safety standards. There were a lot of things that I hadn't thought about before, just in terms of like the dangers of the knee and elbow joints of the humanoid robots. Just, I mean, when you see Atlas there, and it is like not only like mounted to the floor, but it is like iron rods tying it, just, so it's not going anywhere.
Like a Hannibal Lecter thing.
Yeah, it was just it's and I do still think that there are potentially in logistics applications that it will suit. But as humanoid has so far to go, you see cobot applications coming so much faster and closer to realizing potential for those applications than humanoids will. Like, there's still the whole contingent that is like, well, Optimus, Elon Musk, how can anyone doubt him at this point? And then you're just like, really? But there was a lot of skepticism there, and I will say for as many people that were advertising a humanoid robot in the booth, I saw one moving.
Yeah.
I saw one moving. And it was kind of a running joke with a couple of people that I met with, just in terms of there were more signs that were like humanoid not currently operational. I mean, because they had them doing like weird things. Like one had a humanoid robot that was like serving popcorn. And I was starving. So I stopped by and I like watched it try to fill one bag of popcorn. And I'm like, gonna stay hungry. So there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
The new building is consolidating operations that are in 3 different nearby locations, expanding capabilities for advanced manufacturing, like I mentioned, AI, workforce training, and R&D. And like I said, I think advanced manufacturing, Spot, R&D, Atlas. Boston Dynamics expects to move into the new facility in phases starting the middle of next year. And I am encouraged to see this company grow. You know, sometimes when you get to see the technology in person, it makes you it puts you real close to like what the real potential is in reality and where everything kind of stands. And I mean, Jeff, when you see Spot running up and down stairs and scanning things, I think I planted a seed for an application for Spot at IMTS. We'll see, because it was Spot was running around showing how it can scan for like errors and stuff, and they just had little signs set up, and I was like, you should have it scanning people's badges, or there are plenty of boos that are scanning faces, but just something where it was a little more interactive.
People still might get freaked out by that.
Might. But if they win like
the pitch of your voice tells me I'm right.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But if they scan your badge, recognize you, and you get a free pickleball set, then people are fine with it.
And then you got to carry that, though.
I know. Oh, man, there should be, I was trying to figure this out. Like, at parties, when there's a gift or swag bag, right? It's all preloaded and you take it out the door, right? There has to be the equivalent of that.
That's a good idea.
At a trade show.
That's a good idea.
What are your thoughts on this happening with Boston?
I think the biggest thing here is typically if we saw $100 million investment by a technology company, that'd be pretty intriguing just on its own.
Yeah.
That's becoming more the norm here, especially when you're talking about robotics and AI. Everybody is plugging in, 9 figures to just stay competitive.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the message here to me is who's going to fall by the wayside and who's really going to rise to the top, because everybody is just going all in on this.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's not even the humanoid thing, it's some sort of robotics. It's an advanced automation technology supported by artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. That is what everybody is gunning for and wants, not even knows, but wants to be the future.
Yeah.
That's what everybody is focused on. So again, I think this is Boston Dynamics is trying to just stay competitive right now. This doesn't put them ahead of anybody.
No,
it just keeps them on par with what's going on in the industry right now, and all the investment money that's also coming in to these different sectors. So it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of years who stays around.
Yeah, it's physical AI. Everyone's talking physical AI at the show, and this, Spot for what it's worth is physical AI. Like
we've had physical AI for like 20 years.
That was another thing that I was enjoying. I was enjoying having those conversations because like everything that becomes a buzzword like started in manufacturing 5 to 10 to 20 years ago. And so I was trying to like get a sense of what the new thing is, right? Like there's something that everybody's doing right now that's going to blow someone's mind 10 years from now and just be like, yeah, we've been doing that. You got any?
No.
You think it was going to be?
Good.
All right.
Good.
Andy, what's your final thought this week before we get out of here?
I don't want to jinx it because it's been less than a month and things could still go south, but my 10-year-old electric lawnmower quit on me. So I got a new one, and I can't tell you how great the advancements in electric lawnmowers have been over the last decade. So
really?
Kudos to the electric power tool industry because it's made my life. It's embarrassing how much better it's made my life.
Like what's better about it?
Oh, I can just mow my lawn in one shot in an hour.
Oh, it's great. Did you have to charge it?
I used to have to change batteries 2-3 times.
Okay, to get through your yard.
Yeah.
And now it's just one charge, full on in an hour?
It takes me like half the battery. It's great.
Yeah.
Nobody should take lawn care advice from me. I pride myself on having the worst one in the neighborhood. But this machine is incredible so far. Knock on wood.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Man, I just I've talked about my lawnmower issues on the podcast here before. finally got mine back. And Jeff's going to laugh at this because it is just a quintessential repair story from me. Mowing the front yard, like the first few passes, all of a sudden I looked down and there was like something metal. And so I just picked it up. It was like this little nut. I was like, wow, that's weird. I wonder if that fell off when I hit the rock the first time, you know? And then I go to turn the lawnmower, wheel falls off. The wheel falls off, Jeff. The people who repaired my lawnmower didn't put the wheel on tight enough. Now, the best part of that story is that I tightened the wheel the way it should have been, and it has since stayed on. But
there you go.
I took it off, it's off the car, mowing the lawn, just like, good to be back in business. Boom. Come on. Just, anyway, my final thoughts, again, are automate related, because we like just got back from the show. You can still see the exhaustion in my eyes, probably in my voice. But it was an incredible show. Everybody was, I like Automate in Chicago, especially because it's at McCormick and you can do apples to apples comparison with IMTS. And there are a lot of people there. It's much more navigatable. And, everyone was kind of showing off the new toys and having a good time. So some of the things, and we're working on, Nolan Beilstein was covering the event with me as well. So we're working on writing up all the things that we saw at the show right now. I just wanted to throw out some of the highlights right now. One was Mantis Automation. And Mantis Automation at Automate launched the MRX, Mr. X. It's a cobot that runs at industrial speeds. This is up to 10.6 meters per second alongside human workers. No fences. This thing's incredible. Looks like a Mantis, obviously. And the biggest stakeholder in the company, Amazon. So as we've kind of seen with Rivian, that's a really good stakeholder to have in your back pocket. And when you hear Amazon and you see how this thing works, you see it working at an Amazon facility. And it was incredible. More coming on that. And I'm embarrassed as to why. Like, I just wanted to go check it out because, you know, I was Manti, my wife was Ellis, so she always calls us the Mantis family. I'm like, I'm just gonna go get a photo for her, and then I walk over and I'm like, what is going on here? And then got to talk to everybody, some old friends and new friends, and it's incredible. Everyone check out Mr. X. Quick other quick hits. Power supplies at Meanwell, controllers at Yaskawa. Google Intrinsic, which is owned by Alphabet, they have this product Flow State. It's kind of a developer environment that is tech agnostic. So you can build production grade automation solutions, just kind of like dragging and dropping. And it's getting so easy in terms of using agentic AI to basically say, I want to do this with this, figure it out. And it's getting creepy good. Doosan Robotics, they bought, if you remember, they bought One Exia's Cobot palletizer business last year, and they had everything rebranded and all the applications. That looked very impressive. Had great meetings with DigiKey, Proportion Air, KHK. Goodle's working with this partner, Titan Robotics, on these massive integrations, like huge scale, vertical, horizontal, gantries that are, polishing and scanning massive components. And they're intelligent to the point where you take this huge part, just put it in the zone, and it knows exactly what to do. It was incredible stuff. Inbolt, Kawasaki Robotics, and Universal Robots, which Jeff was showing off physical AI. And finally, Stobley, last but definitely not least, and not at all, like, because we had back-to-back appointments, Stobley's medical robot. This was basically like a medical cobot used to help with surgery. It was incredible. And the person that was in the booth with me has recently had 2 hip replacements. So it was really preaching to the choir. So just some incredible things coming out of the show, out of the industry. I always like to kind of get a shot in the arm. And it certainly helped this week. Like, just some incredible stuff. Your final thought this week, Jeff?
My final thought is be careful. You just might get what you wish for.
Oh, no.
Playing softball Tuesday night.
Oh.
Now, just to set the tone, this is beer league, slow pitch softball. Mm-hmm. Okay? The stakes are not high. We're playing softball.
Yeah.
And one of our guys was having a real good night.
Yeah.
Slow pitch softball. He intentionally walks the guy.
Oh,
The problem was he had loaded the bases.
yeah.
And you know who came up and made him regret that intentional walk?
I've heard this.
None other than Andy Zoll.
Yep.
Coming through with a bases loaded, bases clearing double.
Yeah.
Made that pitcher look pretty dumb. Especially, again, for slow pitch softball and
Yeah.
you walk a guy. So I thought that was pretty awesome
Yeah.
because everybody, including his team, was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Andy just comes up there and says, that's fine. No worries.
Man.
Clears him. Awesome. Great stuff.
I was the fifth emergency valve because half the team was missing, and I'm the worst softball player you've ever seen in your life.
No,
so
not true.
This was a real, and I said this before, it's a real ball don't lie situation, whereas it could have been anybody walking up there, and if you intentionally walk the guy in a beer league game before it, they're going to slap one down the first baseline.
I don't know.
It was so great.
You do not give yourself enough credit. I'm really sorry that I missed that. And I mean, honestly,
I mean, they didn't tell you what I did in the 3 at-bats before then, did they?
no, I'm sure. All
Irrelevant.
All doubles.
Irrelevant.
Yeah. No, but I mean, to your credit, you know how to swing a bat. There have been plenty of times where we get a sub and they're just like, yeah, I used to play in high school. And then they go to swing a bat and you're like, you are a liar.
Yeah, that never happened.
You've never swung a bat before, sir. No, that's an incredible story. And you're right. Walking in intentional.
Who does
walking.
that?
Yeah.
Come on.
But I did like the part of the story where even their team is just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. Well, before we get out of here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can help us out a lot by leaving the podcast a positive review on whatever platform you use. If you want to email the podcast, Jeff, David, or Andy at IN.com with email the podcast in the subject line. We have newsletters, so subscribe to them. Give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a positive review on Spotify. I don't even know if you can do it on Amazon. Maybe just say, Alexa, give Today in Manufacturing a good review. Or just subscribe to us on YouTube at IN Magazine. Give us a thumbs up while you're there. All right, for Jeff Reinke and Andy Zoll, I'm David Manti. This is the Today in Manufacturing podcast, and we will see you next week.